There has been an armed rising in the centre of Dublin. At about 12 noon today, armed units of the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army occupied key points around and in the city centre. Yesterday, after the sinking of the arms vessel, the Oud, off the Cork coast, and following Professor Owen MacNeill's order countermanding the so-called parades and marches of the Irish Volunteers, we forecast that there would be no rising, but we were wrong. And so were the authorities, who seem to have been taken completely off guard by today's events. It is now quite clear that someone, in all probability Patrick H. Pearse, abetted by his revolutionary colleagues, has done some countermanding of his own, not with complete success, as no more than a fraction of the full volunteer strength has been notified in time to join in the rising. Now, how did it all begin? Well, this morning, while bank holiday crowds were thronging out to the seaside and to the Ferry House races, what seemed to be an armed parade of units of the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army was held outside Liberty Hall. Our cameras were there to record the event, unaware of the fact that an insurrection was about to begin. In fact, many, if not most, of the men in the rising appeared to be under the impression that they were merely going out on ordinary maneuvers. This was the scene outside Liberty Hall this morning.
This is the chaotic scene here in Beresford Place. The men of the Irish Volunteers and the Citizen Army are assembled, although at nothing like full strength. Still, so many are here that one can only assume that yesterday's countermanding order was cancelled or that it was published too late to be fully effective. The men here are armed with Hoth Mausers, Lee Enfields, sabres, pikes and bayonets. Three-quarters of them aren't even in uniform, apart from puttees or leggings or bandoliers. There are drays piled high with equipment, even a hansom cab. One would almost imagine that this raggle-taggle army was going to war. There have, of course, been certain rumours. But for this straggling, ill-equipped group to take up arms against the thousands of British troops quartered in Dublin and on the Curragh, well, the result could only be utter annihilation. Just a minute. Would you care to tell us just what kind of manoeuvres you're going on today?
You would have died laughing. Listen,
yeah, well,
a whole gang of us marched from Kimmage down to Hardle's Cross and we got on a tram. Captain Plunker asked to conduct the seat. Give us 56 tuppennies. And just as your poor man was doling out the tickets, some now went down the tram, said, put those men off, get those men off the tram immediately. Your man turned around to him. See, would you mind doing it yourself, ma'am? I'm a bit busy. Once I got a thorough burst laughing, I'm a bit busy, you know.
Casey,
Yep.
Casey, get on with it, get back in line.
What I would,
Yes, sir.
just a minute.
Keep it moving, lads.
One thing is rather unusual about today's parade. Most of the volunteer and citizen army leaders are present, including Commandants Pearse and Connolly. For some time now, they have been inside the Liberty Hall. Nobody seems to know quite what is going on in there. There is just this unmistakable sense of occasion.
Right.
This is Jerry Alexander speaking from inside Liberty Hall. Well, I think the orders for the march off are about to be given. The time, 5 minutes to 12. And I can see Commandant Connolly coming towards us, although there is no sign yet of Commandant Pearse. I'll try and have a word with Commandant Connolly now. Commandant Connolly, could we have...
now.
Well, our position here is somewhat restricted, but I can just make out Commandant Connolly on the front steps. Any moment now, the column will move off into its separate battalions. Where to, we don't know. But during past exercises, these men have staged mock attacks on various public buildings. And today, no doubt, Dublin is in for more of the same.
First detachment, Citizen Army. Left turn. Quick march.
And so it started. The first column of men, in double file and under Captain Richard McCormick, moved off up Eden Quay. But what few people knew was that the day of drilling and mock battle was over.
First detachment, Irish Volunteers. Left turn. Quick march. Second detachment, Citizen Army. Left turn. Quick march.
Keep in line. You there. Get back into line.
Second detachment, Irish Volunteers. Third detachment, Citizen Army. Left turn. By the left. Quick march.
One by one, units moved off towards their positions around the city. As we have said, many of them were unaware that they were part of an insurrection. But what of the others? What sort of man will knowingly strike a blow against his lawful rulers, undeterred by the knowledge that he cannot, and that his life is almost certain to be forfeited in exchange for a futile gesture?
Now, Commandant Pierce is coming down the stairs with some of the other leaders. Yesterday, 36-year-old Patrick Henry Pierce was a schoolteacher. Today, he is commander of the Irish Republican Army. With him are his brother William Pierce and Joseph Plunkett, who seems unwell and is obviously not yet fully recovered from his recent major operation. Now, something seems to be happening outside. The men are cheering, and as far as I can make out, a car has just driven up. Now, here's a surprise. The man who is shaking hands with Connolly is the O'Rahilly, who, with Professor McNeil, is opposed to any kind of armed rebellion.
I helped to wind up the clock. I may as well hear it strike. You're welcome. Foil to oath.
I think the time has come.
And now it seems as if Pierce, Connolly, and Plunkett are about to take their places at the head of the 100 or so men still left in Beresford Place.
Attention!
And now the three commanding officers are moving to the head of the column.
Battalion, form, fall.
The men are now in marching formation with the three leaders in front, Commandant Connolly in the center. Everything is suddenly very still. No one moves. Even the crowd of onlookers on the quay wall has fallen silent. It all seems curiously unreal.
Battalion, by the left. Quick march. Left. Wheel.
Meanwhile, at Dublin Castle, the Under-Secretary for Ireland, Sir Matthew Nathan, was conferring with Major Price, the head of Army Intelligence, and Mr. A.H. Norway, Secretary of the Post Office. Unaware that the situation had already exploded, The meeting was discussing ways and means of dealing with the Sinn Féin leaders and their adherents. Sir Matthew was to have issued a statement after the meeting, and we were on the spot to talk to him.
Jim Mooney speaking to you from the front gate of Dublin Castle. Just a few yards away, Sir Matthew Nathan is, one presumes, sealing the fate of the Sinn Féiners, and he has promised to have a word with us after the meeting. Meanwhile, we are enjoying the peace and quiet of what, thanks to the bank holiday, more resembles a college quadrangle than a normally bustling maze of administration buildings. A castle has stood in this very site for over 7 centuries. Even still, there is something reassuring about the... I'm sorry, there seems to be something going on at the front gate. It looks like some sort of a deputation. No, these men are armed. Some of them are wearing the uniform of the citizen army.
Go on now. Be off. You've no business being here. Be off, I tell you. Get in!
That, as far as we know, was the first shot and the first death of this insurrection. As the day went on, more shots were fired and more men died.
As the first victim of the rebellion lay dead near the gateway of Dublin Castle, the main body of the rebels made their way into Sackville Street. They were halted near the Nelson Pillar and ordered to face the portico of the General Post Office.
I'd like a telegram form. There seems to be some sort of procession going on out there. Awful people, nothing but ruffians and ragamuffins. Thank you.
Then, GPO, charge! Everybody out! Clear this building! It must be clear! Out this! Out this! We don't kill prisoners! You out of your mind! Come on, hands behind your back! Ah, here's Chanty! Volunteer! Take that flyer from the flagpole! Get that man to first aid!
Did you cut yourself? Serves you right for breaking down the lovely wind!
Right, back to your post! Sir!
Get down from no ammo.
Good work!
And we cleared all the women out of the telegraph room. Well, some death telegrams go out. Can we send them, sir?
Send them out! Right, sir! Right!
Here and there along Sackville Street, a few groups of onlookers are gathering, but most of them don't yet know what is happening. Amongst them is Stephen McKenna, the well-known literary figure and close friend of Commandant Pearce.
So far, we know that the following positions have been taken by the insurgents: the General Post Office, the South Dublin Union, Jacob's Factory, Boland's Bakery, the Four Courts, the Mendicity Institute, the City Hall, St. Stephen's Green, and the College of Surgeons. Private premises in these areas have also been taken over and barricades erected. The attack on Dublin Castle was not, it now seems, an attempt to seize the castle itself, but rather part of a plan to take over the adjoining City Hall. This was accomplished, but the insurgents seemed to be unaware of the fact that the castle was undermanned due to the bank holiday. Otherwise, it seems certain that the castle and its officials, including Sir Matthew Nathan, the Under-Secretary for Ireland, would by now be in rebel hands. Today also, the magazine fort in the Phoenix Park was badly damaged by a series of explosions. One member of the guard was seriously wounded, and a 17-year-old son of the fort commander was shot dead whilst attempting to notify the authorities.
What are you doing here, sir?
Just exactly what happened?
Well, I heard a noise, and I thought it was an explosion in the barracks. So I went to the window to look out, and there was young Playfair running.
From the park?
Yes, yes. And there was a man behind him on a bicycle shouting at him to stop. And then he ran up to the door and knocked and pounded on it. And then I saw him standing on the step and the man behind him outside the gate. There were 3 terrible shots and he fell. And blood everywhere.
Did the man say anything?
He said I had to do it.
Meanwhile, in St. Stephen's Green, men of the Citizen Army under Commandant Michael Mallin cleared the park of civilians and began preparing for a siege.
Go to it, Petty. That's the stuff. Dig the old pork up.
What the hell are you doing here?
Hello, mate. Nice day for whatever it is.
I'm sorry, miss. I'm sorry, miss. You'll have to leave. You're a prisoner.
But we're enjoying ourselves. Here'd have a hot show.
Have a heart. Damn it, this is a rising.
Is it? You mean you're not on manoeuvres?
Commandant, we're putting some more trenches over by the Shelburne. Come along.
Miss, you can go home. You're a prisoner.
Now, look here.
You'll be shot if you try to leave this park. Go over there and stand by that statue of Lord Ardelon.
Lord Ardelon? Struth.
Flying from the roof of the General Post Office were flags. They are still there at this moment. One, a green flag with the words Irish Republic written on it. The other, a tricolour. Later in the afternoon, Commandant Pearce walked out of the GPO and read a proclamation.
We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, B.H. Pearce, Eamon Kent, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett.
Thanks be to God, Pearce, we've lived to see this day.
It's grand. Isn't it grand?
Right, men, back to your posts.
Sir, dispatches, sir. Dispatches. If that man decided to move his weight from his left foot to his right, he'd put it in dispatches.
The atmosphere in the post office is businesslike, but calm and unflustered. Men have been sent to take over the School of Telegraphy across the street and send out news of the rising to America. Everybody here seems to have his job to do. And as far as this garrison is concerned, the nearest British troops might as well be hundreds of miles away.
The
Lancers! The Lancers are coming!
Take your positions, quickly!
Okay, men, out to the doors!
By God, Pierce, they mustn't know we're in here. Now, don't fire till I give the command. Now, let them get the full length of the building. Don't fire till I tell you.
Sir, sir!
Be quiet.
Sir, it's the Rathfarnham volunteers. They're outside.
Keep your position.
Sir, they're in the street. The Lancers will get them.
All right, get them in quick.
Right, quick,
down
come
the
on.
window. Now, whatever you do, hold your fire. Await the command. Wait for it. Wait. Wait till they pass the... Damn it! Fire! We got 4 of them! We should have got the lot.
During the day, shooting broke out at most of the rebel-held strongpoints. It was particularly heavy at the City Hall, St. Stephen's Green, Mount Street Bridge area, and at the Mendicity Institute. Casualties are already feared to be heavy. Lord Wimborne, the Lord Lieutenant, has issued a proclamation stating that the sternest measures are being and will be taken for the restoration of order. Citizens are warned that it is dangerous to frequent public places or to assemble in crowds.
Well, Tom, I've lived to see the greatest day in Irish history.
Robert Emmet's rebellion only lasted 2 hours. We've already put him in the shade.